Hey everybody, this is Rykard here again, and welcome to another Pokemon X and Y analysis video. Today's video is going to be all about Carbink, so let's get started by taking a look at this Pokemon's typing, abilities, and stats. So to start things off, Carbink is a Rock Fairy type Pokemon introduced in Generation 6, and the first Pokemon thus far to possess this unique typing. As for its abilities though, the first one that it gets is known as Clear Body, which is a great ability for this Pokemon as it makes it so that its stats can never be reduced as a result of an opponent's attack or other move. And this is particularly great for Carbink because it is typically seen as a defensive Pokemon, so any stat drops that it might receive as the result of a secondary effect of an attack directly aimed at Carbink would obviously be negated by this ability, thus allowing Carbink to retain its great defensive capabilities. But as for its hidden ability, Carbink is lucky enough to also get the Sturdy ability, which is an ability that allows you to survive at least one attack with 1 HP if you are at full health. Now, for Carbink, this isn't particularly useful in comparison to Clear Body, as this Pokemon is very defensive, so more often than not, things will not be one-shotting Carbink, but it's still a good ability to have in the case of being up against a Steel-type move, as Carbink is one of the very, very few Pokemon in the game that are 4 times weak to Steel-type moves. So that is something to just keep in mind. Personally, I think Clear Body is the superior ability on Carbink, but Sturdy could have its merits as well. But as for its stats, Carbink has base 50 HP, which is fairly low, but extremely offset by its base 150 defense and 150 special defense, meaning that Carbink is a very bulky Pokemon from either the physical or the special side, depending on how you choose to use it. But either way, it's going to be able to take attacks extremely well and be a very essential defensive Pokemon for your team if you choose to use Carbink on yours. But as for its attacking stats, it only has base 50 attack and 50 special attack, which are not that high at all. So this Pokemon typically is going to need a little bit of help to be able to do some damage. However, it does have access to Calm Mind, which can boost its special attack, and it also does have some pretty great coverage in the stab moves that it gets, along with possibly running a hidden power as well to allow this Pokemon to have some even greater coverage. But lastly, its speed is only base 50, which is fairly low, and even though this Pokemon does learn Rock Polish to potentially remedy this, its attacking stats are fairly low, so you will need some assistance in order to do damage even when your speed is boosted. So just keep that in mind when using Carbink, that it will be a fairly slow Pokemon, not capable of doing much damage without help. So for the first set in this video, we are going to start off by giving Carbink a Calm Nature to increase its special defense and lower its physical attack, and for the ability, either of them work here. As for the EVs, we're going to put 252 into its HP to max that out, 196 EVs into its defense, and then 60 EVs into its special defense to give Carbink its max mixed bulk possible with a set like this. And for the item, we are going to be going with Leftovers to recover a little bit of HP at the end of every turn. But as for the moves, we are going to start off by giving Carbink Stealth Rock, which is arguably one of the best moves in the game, as it will be setting up entry hazards to allow your opponent to take damage every single time they switch in, and even do increased damage to Pokemon that are of types that are weak to Rock-type moves. So arguably, this is possibly the crux of this set, as it will allow Carbink to set up entry hazards for your team, which are very important. But to go along with Stealth Rock, we are going to be using Moonblast as our main Fairy-type attack on this set. It has really great 95 base power and also a 30% chance to lower your opponent's special attack, which will allow Carbink to take special hits even better than it already is going to be able to because of the amazing bulk that this Pokemon has. But it's also just a nice move to be able to do some damage with and also, potentially get that chance to lower your opponent's special attack. But for our next attacking move, we have the option of either running Rock Tomb, Power Gem, or Nature Power. Rock Tomb might seem a little weird because we are running a Calm Nature, which is lowering our physical attack, but keep in mind that Carbink isn't going to be doing much damage anyway with any of its attacks because of its attack stats being only base 50, but the main reason for using Rock Tomb is because of that chance, or the guaranteed chance to lower your opponent's speed every time they are hit by Rock Tomb. And Rock Tomb actually got a really nice accuracy buff this generation, which makes it a lot more viable as a move. And even though the main purpose is not to do damage, the minus speed that your opponent will receive when they are hit by this move could allow Carbink to easily then switch out into another Pokemon on your team, which is now going to easily outspeed whatever Pokemon Carbink just hit, and potentially take it out. So it's a really great move for support purposes, especially if, say, a Scarfer is brought in on Carbink to take it out, but you obviously go for Rock Tomb, and now something else could easily outspeed that Pokemon that is Scarfed because their speed has been lowered. But if you want to consistently go with a special type rock move, Power Gem is your go-to move for this set, as it will be a very strong special rock type move for you to go for, and a move that not a lot of Pokemon can make use of because most rock types are typically not special attackers. But if you also want some more utility in terms of potentially statusing your opponents, Carbink also learns Nature Power, which is Chai Attack over Wi-Fi Battle this generation, which also gives you a 20% chance to either burn, paralyze, or freeze your opponent, which is really cool and could potentially allow you to status things that you normally wouldn't be able to status them with. And also, for the last move on this set, we are going to be running Toxic as a way to poison our opponents and slowly wear down their health throughout battle, as this will probably be the most consistent way for Carbink to deal damage to Pokemon because of its attack stats not being that great. So Toxic can gradually wear them down, and also potentially work in combination with Nature Power, which will allow you multiple ways to status your opponent. But overall, this set is just a standard defensive way to run Carbink, and a very effective way to make use of this Pokemon as a defensive wall. Up next, we have a dual screening set for Carbink to run. So we're going to start this one off with a Calm Nature, again to increase our special defense and lower our physical attack, and again we can go with either ability here. As for the EVs, we are also going to be running the same EV spread of 252 HP EVs, 196 defense EVs, and 60 special defense EVs to give us our best mixed bulk possible on Carbink. But for the item this time, we have the option of either running Light Clay to increase the duration of our screens from 5 turns to 8, or Leftovers to recover a little bit of HP at the end of every turn. But as for the moves, this time we are also going to be running Stealth Rock, as this will be more or less a support set entirely for Carbink to run. Stealth Rock obviously is still setting up the entry hazards, which will consistently damage your opponents every time they switch in until they are either spun away with Rapid Spin or gotten rid of with Defog. But the main purpose of this set, in comparison to the previous one, is to set up screens, which we are going to be doing through the next two moves of Reflect and Light Screen, which will not only allow Carbink to take attacks even better than it already will be able to do, but also provide the support to your teammates in being able to take hits from either the physical or special side significantly better. And this can be a very essential way to run Carbink, as screen support is amazing in most teams to allow your Pokemon to take hits extremely well, way better than they normally would be able to, and allow them in a sense to do even more damage to your opponents now that they are significantly harder to take out. But along with our rocks and our screens, we are going to be running one attacking move on this set, which is going to come in the form of either Moonblast or Power Gem to be your main Fairy type move in Moonblast, or Rock type move on this set in Power Gem. Personally, I prefer Moonblast just because it also has that 30% chance to lower your opponent's special attack, but if you think the coverage of Power Gem might be better for your team, then that is definitely the way to go. And for the last set of this video, we are going to be giving Carbink a more offensive role on the battlefield. So we're going to start this set off by giving it a Modest Nature to increase its special attack and lower its physical attack, and for the ability, Clear Body is recommended here. As for the EVs, we're going to put 252 into its HP to max that out, 252 into its special attack to give it its max special attack possible with the Modest Nature helping out as well, and then the remainder 4 EVs into your special defense. And for the item, we are going to be going with Leftovers as a way to recover a little bit of HP at the end of every turn. But for the moves, the first two that we're going to be going with are going to be the famous Substitute Calm Mind combination. Substitute to get you behind a protective barrier to shield you from attacks and statuses, and also give you a much easier time to set up with Calm Mind. And Calm Mind obviously will be there to boost your special attack and special defense by 1 stage every time you go for it. And to go along with this boosting move, we are going to be going with Moonblast to be your main Fairy type attack on this set, which also has that 30% chance to lower your opponent's special attack, which will allow you to take special hits even better if this secondary effect occurs, but mainly to just do some really solid Fairy type damage to pretty much everything in the game that won't obviously be resisting it. But for your last move slot, you could either run Dual Stab on this set in the form of Moonblast along with Power Gem to be your main special attacking Rock type move on this set, but if you want some better coverage overall, Hidden Power Ground is probably the better option, as it will not only give you a move to hit Steel types super effectively, as Carbink is 4 times weak to Steel, but also a way to hit Fire types and Poison types that are resisting the Moonblast as your main attacking move on the set. However, if you do just want to go with Dual Stab, again, Power Gem is still the great option, as it will allow Carbink to do some really fantastic damage with a special Rock type move, which, as I said before, is not something you see often because there aren't a lot of special attackers that make use of special type rock moves, especially when they're stab. And if you're curious as to why we're not running max defense on this set, because we are boosting our special attack with Calm Mind, the reasoning is because your special attack is not going to be that great unless you max out its EVs and give it a modest nature. It's not really going to do damage otherwise, so you really need to just put all those EVs in there, and its physical defense is really fantastic as it is, so you don't really need to worry about it too much as you would on other Pokemon that don't really have as great physical bulk as Carbink does that make use of Calm Mind. But overall, this is probably the best way to make use of an offensive Carbink, as it will allow it to get to a point where it's able to do some significant damage to your opponent's teams, and also take hits amazingly well because of its fantastic natural bulk. But anyways, everybody, that is it for this video. So I wanted to thank you all for watching. Feel free to join me on my Twitch streams at twitch.tv/Rykard3, and also follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/TrainerRykard. Also, please bookmark the database that will have all these sets, as well as every other set in the analysis series. It's in the description, so please check that out if you haven't yet. The sets are also very easily able to be copy and pasted into Pokemon Showdown for ease of use. And also, if you would like to, feel free to join the Zat at zat.com/Pokegrounds, which will allow you to have an easy opportunity to find people to battle and trade with, as well as talk about Pokemon with. Also, I'm going to continue to plug this until the tournament actually happens, but my second Master of Them All tournament is going to be this Saturday, December 21st, 2013, and it will take place at noon Eastern Standard Time, so I hope all of you please come out to that, or at least watch the live stream if you aren't going to be participating in the tournament, as it should be a really fantastic time. The theme is a mixed region monotype tournament, and if you want to learn more about this tournament and know how to participate, please either check out the link in the description, which will have this tournament sign up page, or click the screen right now, which will take you to the video that I made about this tournament, which explains everything in more detail. But anyways, everybody, that is it for this video. So as always, thank you all for watching, take care, and I will see you all next time.